Friends, we are gathered here, hardcores and casuals, for this sport that's magical. Both Corsi lovers, Corsi haters, put down your pens and calculators, because the season is here! Are you excited? I said, are you excited? Oh, okay, that's good. Sorry, I thought you weren't excited. You know, because I asked if you were excited and you didn't look excited, but you said you were excited and I'm excited, so that's great. Oh, this is like Christmas! And like Christmas, I've been doing my homework and eating my vegetables and writing letters to Gary Bettman. I want a pony and a #1 center. Except Christmas is one day and the hockey season is 9 months! And today is the day the season gets knocked up. And at the end of that 9 months, the season gives birth to a beautiful baby named Stanley. He's got your eyes. So, you will have to forgive me for being a little worked up. Also, this is full of espresso. So, what can we expect from this season? Who will the winners be? Who will the losers be? And will the Leafs fall off the edge of a cliff again? Well, how about we start here? Will the Los Angeles Kings repeat as Stanley Cup champions? Now, I don't want to employ the dangle jinx, but it's looking pretty good. I mean, what did they really do to their roster? Other than signing Marian Gaborik to one of the most sweetheart contracts in the league right now, nothing. Still the perfect mixture of offense, defense, and goaltending. And they didn't really do much because, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And some guys are kind of getting up there, some guys are just entering their prime. I have a hard time believing the Kings are going to do worse this year. Actually, even though they had 46 wins last year, do you know where the Kings finished in the standings? 10th. I had to look it up because I would not have guessed that. So I think the Kings are going to be great again. Let's look at some of the top teams from the league last year. Boston won the President's Trophy as the league's best regular season team. Are they going to do that again? Something about Boston to me just feels like they're not going to do as well. They're still going to be very good, but not as good. They were really up against it with the cap situation, and that kind of came to a head this past week when they had to get rid of Johnny Boychuk. And pretty much the whole Atlantic division got better. Buffalo, well, they can't get much worse than they were last year. Florida, at least they have a goaltender now. The Leafs should be a bit better. Ottawa should be roughly the same. Tampa Bay and Montreal, I think, are going to be better. I don't necessarily think Montreal will finish higher in the standings than they did last year, but they are a better team. Tampa, on the other hand, has a legitimate chance to win the East. They finished top 10 with Stamkos out a big chunk of the season. And if Ben Bishop is in net for the Lightning, do they get swept by Montreal in the first round? No. N-O-N. No. So Boston, they'll be good, maybe even great, but I don't think they'll be President's Trophy winning great. Then again, that's not the trophy you compete for, is it? The Ducks are another team where I'm like, yeah, you're pretty good, but second place in the NHL? No. Then there's Colorado, who was third. The Leafs laughed at advanced statistics for a while until it eventually caught up with them and kicked them in the face. The Avalanche basically looked at Jim Corsi and spit right in his mustache, and it didn't catch up with them until, well, they lost in the playoffs. They were a young team loaded with amazing superstars: Ryan O'Reilly, Gabriel Landeskog, Matt Duchene, Nathan MacKinnon, all monsters, and if Semyon Varlamov can be very good again, they'll still be a good team, but no way they finished third in the NHL. They're way too thin on D. And even a very good Varlamov is a disaster for the Avalanche. He was elite last season. If he's anything less than that, they drop. The St. Louis Blues, you can probably bet on them finishing top 5 again this season. The San Jose Sharks took a bunch of crazy pills this offseason, and I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs. I mean, they're still a great team with great players, but based on some of the moves they made, they're not that interested. They're pushing away Joe Thornton, probably Hockey Hall of Famer Joe Thornton, and you can laugh at me, just go ahead and look at his numbers. And if the team starts declining and Antti Niemi is your goalie, pick up Alex Stalock in your fantasy pools, kids. The Pittsburgh Penguins, if they figure out some of their depth issues, and if Sidney Crosby is a monster, and if Marc-Andre Fleury decides he's amazing again, then they'll be great. But like every season, even though they have 87, they can't win every game 8-7. Sometimes they gotta stop a couple pucks. You know who finished 7th last season? The Chicago Blackhawks. And even though they lost Nick Leddy, they're roughly the same team they were last year, except they added Brad Richards. So I look forward to my basically annual tradition of watching them in the Western Conference Final at least. Have you noticed that I've only mentioned one Canadian team? Well, that's because Montreal aside, they were all awful. Edmonton and Calgary just really can't do much worse than they did last year. All the Oilers scouts are like, wanna bet? Draft day, it's my time to shine! The Vancouver Canucks, while not the team they once were, are not the 6th worst team in the National Hockey League. No way. They're not great anymore, but if they can escape some of the injury trouble they had last season and the carnival act that John Tortorella was as a coach there, I think they could squeak in. The Sens, like I said, they should do about the same. The Jets, I hate talking about the Jets. The Jets are never as good or bad as anyone says they're gonna be. And that's how bad they are. Because if they were as bad as everyone said they're gonna be in the Connor McDavid sweepstakes this year for the first overall pick and get a generational talent. But we all know that it's the Jets, and for some reason, nice things aren't allowed to happen to the Jets. So they'll finish like 22nd again. It's like they signed a deal with the devil where he's like,
you can have your team back, but you're gonna suck for 10 years.
And I don't really blame him because I love hockey enough that I'd take that deal. Then there's the Leafs. Oh, you silly Leafs. As always, the Leafs are going to be a fascinating team to watch. Year in, year out, they don't even need to be good to be fascinating to watch. If they're better, there will be no end of the lineup of people who want to go, see, analytics work, goons are a thing of the past, face punchers and all. And then if they suck, there will be no end to the line of people who want to go, they should have the face punchers in and they would have made it if they did, and your Corsi can cram it in that. Here is the remarkably boring reality of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They should be a better team. No matter how good or bad they do, they shouldn't have another epic collapse at the end of the season because, well, hopefully they've exorcised all that voodoo out of their system. But here it is, and I don't like saying it, but you're gonna have to bear with me. The Leafs are a fringe playoff team, probably on the outside. Don't look at me like that. Work with me here. Look at the Eastern Conference. There's 8 playoff spots. Let's go through teams they're for sure not better than. The Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning, no questions asked, are better than the Leafs. Pittsburgh Penguins probably better too, based off Crosby and Malkin alone. The Blue Jackets should be a better team, and for whatever reason, they killed the Leafs last year. The New York Rangers won't be as good. The New York Islanders should be much better. New Jersey missed the playoffs, but they were robbed of a spot because they couldn't win a single shootout. Detroit is voodoo. We don't pay attention to them. They're scary. Carolina, Florida, Buffalo should all be pretty bad. Montreal should be a playoff team. Rangers, Flyers, Caps, flip a coin, flip a coin, flip a coin. Where does that leave the Leafs? Somewhere in the land of flip a coin. But for those of you keeping track, some teams that flip a coin are going to land on the playoffs, and others are going to land on golf. Where do the Leafs end up? We'll have to see. One last thing, my surprise team of this season, and they shouldn't even really be a surprise team because most people are calling it, the Dallas Stars. Tyler Seguin might have the season of his career this season. Jamie Benn might have the season of his career this season. Kari Lehtinen, very underrated goalie, and they just got Spezza and Hemsky. They're a young, skilled team full of feisty honey badgers. In the same way I expect Tampa to be a rising star in the East, Dallas will literally be a rising star in the West. That's enough of me yapping. What do you think? You know what? I'm sorry. I should take your feelings into account. How have you been? Did you enjoy your summer? Did you see the video of Mark Donnelly falling on his face? You gotta give him props. He didn't even miss a beat though. Our home and native land. True patriot. That is beautiful. That is determination. That is Gregory Campbell blocking a shot and killing the rest of the penalty with a broken leg, but vocally. That's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends, and I'll see you when the season starts.